What's up, everybody? My name is Arman Vakili, and I would like to welcome you back to the Business Plug. And I have a very special video with you today. It kind of sits very close to my heart, this particular topic. Now, this particular video sits pretty close with me because of the fact that there's been a lot of times in my life that a lot of things have happened to me, good or bad. And I had different reactions to them, and I learned different lessons from them. I gave different meanings to them, and I became a different type of person after those types of experiences. And sometimes it wasn't a change for the better. Sometimes it was a change for the worse, and it took even more time for me to realize what I was doing and then make further changes to actually improve. And by in no way, shape, or form am I saying that I'm perfect in any way, but it is a lesson that I think applies to a lot of people, if not everybody. So the name of the presentation is The Binary Moments of Life, right? I believe that everything that goes on in life has some kind of a reaction that can be a binary, and we'll get into that in a little bit. My @ by the way, is officially Arman. If you want to find me on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or anything, that's where you can find me. I would love to connect with you. I would love to hear back from you. Let's get into it. So life typically offers us one of three different types of experiences, right? You can either have good experiences, you could have bad experiences, or you could have neutral experiences, right? And these things break down into their own categories too. There could be a lot of different things that could be considered a good experience. There could be a lot of different things that could be a bad experience. And there could be a lot of things that could be like, oh, so-and-so is like 50-50. It's like a meh kind of an experience, right? There's a lot of things that could fall into these three general categories. So we have three different experiences, okay? Now, your responses could be one of two types of responses. The way that these experiences happen to you, it could do one of two things to you. And this is where the binary part comes in, right? Binary means ones and zeros. It's either one or the other. That's basically what it means. They could either make you or they could break you, okay? Doesn't matter what that means to a lot of different people. It could either make you or it could break you. Now, the definition of making you could be a lot of different definitions. Definition of breaking you could be a lot of different definitions, but it will all fall into one of these two categories, okay? So far, I think you're with me. So far, it makes sense, okay? If the situation makes you, these are just a few things that may happen. You'll probably reflect on it and you'll learn from the experience. That's what one of the productive things that could happen. You may develop a chip on your shoulder where you say, you know what, I'm going to prove whoever that was wrong. I'm going to prove the world wrong. It might not even be a specific person. It could literally be the world that you feel like is against you, but it actually makes you. A lot of people say that this isn't necessarily the most healthy or productive way to look at a situation, but developing that chip on the shoulder has been one of the reasons for, or has been the reason for a lot of people's success. And we can talk about like really, really successful people that accomplished amazing things in their lives, that they did it because they had a little chip on their shoulder and they were trying to prove somebody wrong. Okay. It could provide you extra fuel. It's kind of like the elaborating on the prove them wrong thing, but it could just be extra fuel. It could be ultimately not just a little bit of fuel for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. It could become a permanent motivator in your life where it literally changes you and you become a different person because of the situation or whatever this thing was that happened. And again, it could be a good thing that happened, or it could be a bad thing, or it could be a neutral thing that happened. But you can choose to use that experience as one of these things where it's like, you know what, it's going to be a permanent inspiration for me. It's going to be a permanent motivator for me. And these are the things that people will come out and say, you know what, because of the fact that I went overseas and saw how badly people were experiencing poverty or famine or something like that, that I chose to indefinitely dedicate my life to ridding the world from poverty or ridding the world from famine or stopping child abuse or stopping any kind of abuse or human trafficking, whatever it is. It's something happens, it catches that person's heart, it becomes a chip on their shoulder, something happens to them that they say, you know what, this is going to be a permanent inspiration for me. Okay. But it starts with the reflection. You'll reflect on the situation, you really think about it, and you'll be like, man, this doesn't, this was really inspiring, or this hurt a lot, or this, I didn't like the way that so and so said whatever they said, or I didn't like the way that I was treated when I went into this room, or whatever it was. And that ends up becoming one of the pivotal moments in your life that end up making who you are as a person. Okay, this is really, really important. It's very key here. Then it could break you. So if the situation breaks you, you'll withdraw, you'll escape into whatever your vice is, you'll freeze. And this happened to me a lot, actually, towards the beginning of my life, before I was taught how to manage my emotions, how to examine my emotions, how to examine the things that happened to me, how to reflect on them. Before I learned how to do those things, I'm a Cancer, okay? So anybody who's a Cancer may relate to this. When something happens that's kind of like a shock to your system, and you're like, oh man, like I don't know how to handle this, I would just withdraw into my shell, right? I would go quiet, I would hide from the world, almost not just metaphorically, but like physically. I just wouldn't go out. I would lock myself up in my room. I would basically just go into this like deep slumber, and I would try to figure out, not really even figure out, honestly, I was just trying to escape from whatever it had happened. And until I was exposed to some of these personal improvement and the books that I learned and the mentors that I met and all these things, until that happened to me, I didn't know how to deal with situations that could actually break me. And there's this great saying that you have to be broken down before you can fix yourself back up stronger and better than before. So this may be one of those things for you. This, you may be in this category, but it doesn't mean that it has to be permanent for the rest of your life. But you need to be aware of what's happening, right? You can use it as an excuse, you know, so and so reason, or whatever the reason is the reason why I'm not doing this. The world isn't fair because of my predisposition in life, because of the fact that I came up under a certain environment, or I came up in a certain neighborhood, or I came up with a certain family, or I came up under a certain race, or I came. And I'm not in any way trying to say that those things are invalid for people. A lot of excuses in our lives are super valid. They're actually valid. And that's the reason why they can be so debilitating, and they could actually break us, because the fact that they are real reasons, they're real excuses. But when you use it as an excuse, and then you use it as a reason not to accomplish, as a reason not to grow or not to become better, that ends up being one of the things that immobilize you. They debilitate you for the rest of your life. Some people become really bitter, and they become very vengeful, and you may actually kind of remember people like this in your own life. And maybe not even the people that were in your own life, but if you drive around LA, especially LA, like if you drive around in LA and you kind of pay attention, some parts of downtown, you'll see people that whatever happened to them, combined with the the substances that they abuse and all those things, they'll just blurt out certain things that are just so bitter, and they're so angry. And maybe they're not a drug addict, right? Maybe they're not somebody who lives out on the streets. Maybe it's literally a successful person that became so successful because of the fact that they were so bitter. And some people are like, well, at least they became successful. And if that's the case, can't we say that it made them, it became like they became better, or they became stronger? The debate is very strong on this, because if you're a vengeful person and your success became as a result of vengeance, or as a result of your bitterness, and you're not happy, even though you may have success, you're not happy. If that was the actual case, then maybe it didn't actually make you. Maybe it broke your spirit. And now you think that because you have physical, material possessions, that maybe you've gotten, you overcame whatever the situation may be, but it actually broke your emotion, it actually broke your spirit. So it's a very tricky thing, this idea of vengeance and bitterness. It's very, very tricky. And of course, the last would be, they succumb to whatever the environment is, they succumb to whatever the circumstances, and they settle for less than they deserve. And I personally believe everybody deserves to have happiness, everybody deserves to have wealth. I think that you and I are no different in our value as human beings. Our value to the marketplace may be different, right? You may be making more money than me, or you may be making less money than me. Our value to our families and our friends may be different. But as human beings, we deserve happiness. We deserve to be happy. We deserve to have prosperity. And it's really sad to see somebody who's really talented or has a lot of potential to settle, to succumb. And maybe now here's the thing, right? Here's the other part of this is like, maybe that's what they actually want out of life. If genuinely, sincerely, that's actually what you want, is to be able to kind of make a, fair living, a decent living, but you want to be able to enjoy your time, and you want to be able to go and play the what is it, the league games on your weekends and be a part of the baseball league that you're at, or do whatever the things are that you want to enjoy. If it's really truly what you want, and it's not just another excuse for you to escape from the discomfort that comes from building a successful life, or a really large prosperous life, if that's not an actual reason that you're escaping from that responsibility, then by all means enjoy yourself. But if you're using those things as an excuse, right, if you're using it as an excuse to escape from whatever that reality may be for you, then it's probably not worth it for you to settle. And it's probably something that you should push past and try to grow past and actually grow out of, right? So succumbing to the circumstance and settling for a mediocre life, or a subpar life, I don't think anybody deserves that. I think everybody deserves to have a certain level of prosperity and happiness. Whatever that may mean to you is completely unique to you. But I genuinely believe that you are strong enough to push past whatever your circumstance are and accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. Now, everything falls under those two categories, right? So, how are you going to immediately react to the situations that happen in your life? There's an immediate reaction that happens where it's like, before the emotion settles, you may react and you may actually take some kind of an action. And so, it's one of those binary things, right? Are you going to withdraw the way that I used to withdraw and just lock yourself up in your room? Or are you going to stop and just attack the person and get aggressive? How are you going to immediately react? That's the first part. The second part is, what meaning are you going to give to that situation with whatever happened to you after you sit down and reflect? And you will reflect. That's the thing. Reflection is not something that people don't do. People actually reflect on all the situations that happen to them. It's just that the meanings that they give them will be different. So what meaning will you give to the situation? And will that meaning, will it be your fuel, or will it be your excuse to not do it? So will it be your fuel to actually want to push past it and actually prove somebody wrong and actually accomplish and live a happy life? And proving somebody wrong could be as simple as, you know what, I'm not going to be miserable, I'm going to be happy. And even though you wanted me to be miserable, even though you wanted to piss me off, and this is what trolls are really good for. Trolls always want to piss people off. They want to make people upset or depressed or whatever. And you're proving them wrong could simply be, you know what, I'm just going to be happy. Even though you're trying to make me unhappy, I'm just going to stay and be happy. So maybe that's the thing for you. Or are you going to use it as an excuse? You know what, all these haters out there are the reason why I'm not going to put out content. All these haters out there are the reason why I'm not going to enjoy my life and enjoy a vibrant life, because I don't want them to hate on me, I don't want them to troll me. And it's like, okay, the same event, the same thing that could happen to two people, one of them could take it as a fuel to live a happy life, to live a better life, to keep winning. The other person could use it as an excuse to not do it, and to just be who I was and just go crawl in your shell and never come out, and be upset and sad and depressed. And I just want you to understand, I'm not in any way trying to judge you if that's what it is. That's not where I'm coming from. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put these things in front of you, in the forefront of your mind, so that you're aware of what's happening. And as long as you're aware of what's happening, then you can navigate accordingly. Maybe you can go seek consultations or find therapists or whatever it may be. Maybe you can go reach out to a friend that you think of highly and you can ask for their advice, whatever it is. But it's as long as you're aware of it. If you're unaware, if you're oblivious to it, then you're not going to make any changes. So it's really important to understand these things. What are you going to do about it? Right? This is where it all comes down to. What are you going to end up doing about it? And that's really the summation of all of this, right? Which binary are you going to choose? And it's actually your choice. It really is your choice. A lot of people say, I don't have choices. We don't have choices in what happens to us. We don't, and you absolutely do. 100% you do. And you can choose to either take the positive route and learn and grow and still do it no matter what other people want you to do, or you can choose the negative route and you can let them say, okay, you know what, they're right. That's the reason why I'm not going to make it. But that is a choice. Ultimately, it is a choice that you get to pick. You get to choose what to do. And I really hope that you choose to win. I hope that you choose to be happy. I hope you choose prosperity. It would mean a lot to me if you chose prosperity. That's the end of my slideshow. It's a short one today. It's a very, very basic one. But it means so much to me for you to be happy. I don't know you. I have no idea who you are. I don't know where you come from. I don't know what your circumstances are. You may have, the worst circumstances that a human being can be dealt. You may have circumstances that you're building out to be way bigger than they actually are. And you have a lot of blessings that you're not even counting. You have a lot of great attributes that you're not leveraging and you're not utilizing because for some reason somebody has convinced you that your life is harder than it actually is. But I'm willing to bet that if you're watching this, you have at least the bare minimum resources that most people don't even have, right? You at least have something to watch this video on, whether it's a cell phone or a computer or something. You have something to watch this video on. So that means you have more than the average person. So it means a lot if you can understand what these basic things are and then leverage them and use them to be happy, to win, to be prosperous, to make money, to go out and win for your life. You can do all of those things. And I really don't want it to sound like a raw kind of a thing, but it really is binary. It really is binary. It's either you choose this side or you choose this side. You choose to be winning and you choose to be happy, or you choose to be miserable. You can choose those things. Now, what's tough about it is that if you've been choosing the negative route most of your life, it's going to be really hard to make that transition to the other side, but it's not impossible, right? So this is the last thing I'll leave you with. It may be really difficult because that's what you've been conditioned to believe your entire life, either through your parents, through your teachers, through your culture, through yourself, the thoughts that you've been repeating to yourself for the last 10, 20 years of your life. Those may be the things that are buckling you down. Those may be the things that are weighing you down, but it doesn't mean it's impossible to get out of that. It doesn't mean it's impossible for you to grow out of that. It's possible. It's not easy, but it is possible. And I think you can do it. And whatever needs to happen, if you need to DM me and we need to have a conversation on Instagram, hit me up. I'll respond to you, like legit. But I'm not gonna let you keep holding onto your excuses. So you got to understand that if you want me to help you, I will help you. I'll help you work through whatever it is that you need to work through. But I'm not gonna accept your excuses over and over and over again. I will call you out on your BS. And I will call you out on the programming that's repeating, that's not serving you. And if you're willing to be uncomfortable, if you're willing to have somebody actually hold you accountable, then I'm more than willing to respond to you. I'll respond to you in the comments in this video. I'll respond to you in DMs, whatever the situation may be. If you're in LA or if you're in the US and we can actually meet each other at some place, I'm willing to dedicate the time and energy only if you're willing to be accountable to your own success, to your own happiness, and to your own prosperity. If you're willing to be accountable, I'm here, I'm available. But if not, don't waste my time. So I love you. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Please hit that notification bell so you get notified every single time that we drop one of these videos. And let me know if this was good. Let me know if you actually learned something from it. It means a lot to me if I can actually be valuable and actually helpful to you guys. It's the fuel. If you guys actually find value from it, it is fuel for me. Quite literally, it motivates me. We talked about fuel, right? Whenever something happens, a new subscriber that comes in, a new comment that comes in, I take that as fuel to actually want to keep putting these videos out and keep making it so that you guys can actually get value from it. So this was the video today. My name is Arman Vakili. This is the business plug, and I hope you got some value from it. So let me know. I'll see you guys in the next one.